Okay, so what I want to do today, well, first, like, hello and shit like that. I got stuff to do. I've talked about this book before. It's Rajan by Tim Lukeman. Now, Tim Lukeman, in his entire writing career, wrote 3 books between the years of 1979 and 1983. I have nabbed 2 of his books. The first one is Rajan. The second one is Corin, the sequel to Rajan. The third one is called, I think, Witchwood or something like that, and it came out in 1983. This is his last book, and I really want to get it, but it's a hardback and it's like 18 bucks last time I saw it, so I don't want to spend that kind of money on it. Hopefully I'll find it somewhere. And the reason is, this is some of the funniest stuff for me that I've read in a while, because it's all unintentional. It is just super funny. So what I thought I would do is read a bit of it to you, and go from there. I'm not exactly a great reader, and I've read this a few times, so hopefully I can, not laugh a whole bunch while I'm reading it. But let's start it out. I will skip part of it, but I'll explain everything. I'll explain everything. It's the dialogue that's really like the best part of this. Rajan came to the teak and ebony bridge in the autumn morning, his clothing spattered with mud, a sword hung at his side, its bamboo hilt bound in writhing dragons of gold. The forest was stained with amber and russet, and the meadows were strewn with pale white starflowers. The stream beneath the bridge ran over worn, mossy stones. It was a peaceful land, sleeping beneath a cloudless salmon sky. Rajan waited by the bridge and meditated on the ways of honor and vengeance. There was a clatter of hoofs from the bridge. It was Cam, spelled Kham, resplendent in green silk and lacquered bronze mail, the mane of his white mare plated with fine silver. A sword hung at his side, its bamboo hilt and sheath bound in gold bands. "So, rag picker," he said, "you are here. You are no coward, unlike your father, although you are a fool to think you can defeat me." Rajan drew his sword with one swift fluid movement. The slim steel blade quivered in the crisp morning air, the sun glinting coldly from its razor-like edge. "Whew! You have shamed my father," he said, "and dishonored the sword you bear." I would like to state, it never actually says what he did to his father, just that he dishonored him. Cam laughed and dismounted. "You speak boldly for a rag picker," he said, putting one hand to the hilt of his sword. "Do you fight as boldly as you speak? I wonder." Rajan slowly raised his sword, balancing himself upon the soft, damp earth. The blade flashed like a hummingbird's wing. The sleeves of Cam's silk robe hung in tatters. "Prettily done," Cam said, drawing sword. "But my blade cuts deeper, ragpicker." He raised his sword and then let the sun glint off its scarred blade. "I have killed men before," he said softly, and his eyes asked, "Have you?" The swords met, ringing loudly in the quiet morning, weaving death in the air between them. Their bodies were in harmony with the swords, each movement flowing smoothly from the last, every flash of steel starkly beautiful. Cam drove Rajan back 3 steps, the dead leaves at their feet barely stirred in the movements. The nobleman's sword brushed Rajan's arm, stinging coldly for a single heartbeat. It doesn't worry, it hurts later. It does, I promise. "First blood, ragpicker," he said. Rajan paused, shifting his weight, lifting his sword before him. Blood trickled down his arm, the sound of the stream unnaturally loud in his ears. Cam turned his sword so that it caught the sun. The edge of the gleaming steel blade was dark. He shook the blade. Drops of blood speckled the dead leaves. "You hesitate, ragpicker," he said. "Perhaps you are a coward after all, like your father." Rajan waited, ignoring the pain in his arm. See, it hurts, even though it only hurt for a minute, and then that came back. So then they go on and they continue to fight, right? So they're slashing at each other. let's see. There's perfect lines of dialogue like steel cuts deeper. Oh, steel cuts deep, but fear cuts more deeply. And then Cam says at one point, I was bred to the sword, farmer, and youth to the hoe. And then they're fighting. Sweat beats his forehead, blah, blah, blah. You have beautiful lines like, they moved as one, their swords barely visible save for flashes of ghostly sunlight, giving themselves to the flow of battle. Ooh, pretty, you know. Blah, blah, blah. They fight. Then, you know, they're getting tired. So then we end up with this dialogue. You fought well, Cam said, with grudging respect, but it ends now. He raised his sword to strike, the muscles of his arms and shoulders taut. He's also wearing robes at the time, just so everyone knows, so you can't really see his arms. Rajan made no move to block Cam's sword, twisting to one side and putting all his strength into a single blow, even as he felt Cam's blade sear against his ribs. His own blade slashed down through Cam's bronze mail and bit into bone. How? It just doesn't make sense. That's how he's gonna kill him. He's gonna stab him. Okay, whatever. Cam's fingers loosened on the hilt of his sword. His eyes filled with disbelief. Blood darkened the leaf-green silk of his robes. He shook his blade clean with effort, whispering, well struck, ragpicker. He began to lift his sword, gasped with pain, and fell to the earth. Rajan staggered back, clutching his side. The sweat of his hand stung the wound. His sword lay in the stream, the water washing it clean. He took it from the stream and looked down at Cam, sprawled in the dead leaves. His hand still clutched his scarred sword. Cam was dead, he realized, but he felt little satisfaction. He looked at Cam's face and saw that it was filmed with sweat. Like his own, it disturbed him. Cam was a man, like any other man, and he was dead. He had been an untiring demon a moment ago. Now he was dead. Is it this simple, killing a man? Rajan wondered, looking at the gleaming sword in his hand. It did not seem possible that any weapon could end life so abruptly. Can it truly be this simple a thing? So, this shit is so funny to me because I am a huge fan of like old kung fu movies. I really like them, especially the dub versions. And reading this is kind of like watching a dubbed version of a really bad kung fu movie. Just with like the word uses and everything, the dialogue is so bad. Though ragpicker is a funny insult. Basically, like the equivalent today, it would be calling someone like a dumpster diver or a trash digger. And it's just ridiculous. The plot of this story. So, Rajan is a farmer's son who kills Cam, which is like basically a prince. And some assassins are sent after Rajan by the king. And so Rajan ends up getting help from a wizard in agreement with killing the wizard's son. Which is all explained on the back. It's just, oh man, like the tagline on the back. Rajan, we hunt my son, and when we find him, you will kill him for me. It is some of the most ridiculous stuff I've ever read, and I love it, and I just wanted to share it with you, because it's great. I do plan to finish this, though it is not an easy read, because it is so cringy at times, some of the dialogue. It's just awful. And great, like I love it. It has made me laugh like not many other books can. But that being said, I just wanted to share that with you guys. I will see you guys later. Have a great day.